back when your grandparents couldn't smell the phone. When I was a kid, I couldn't feel Haley Joel Osment as I was watching. Shut up, Grandma. My God.
Chismoso. 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 Chismoso.
Little boy.
2.
Oh, hell yeah. Here we all are.
We're back with the Chismoso podcast. I'm your host, Nate Adamski. And this
I'm the co-host, Stephen Armstrong.
You guys are so professional.
Dude, co-lesser host.
Co-lesser host. This is my boss, Nate Adamski.
We're both hosts. We're just both co-hosts. So it just matters who you ask first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Anyway.
I'm in the middle.
You're in the middle because he's the godfather. And this is my dear friend and also co-worker, fellow comedian, and filmmaker, Collin Gossel.
Hey there, guys. It's an honor to be here today. Thank you so much. I haven't heard the first episode of your podcast yet. This is the second episode, correct?
Yeah.
This is 2.
So I think this is going to be the one where I'm really going to push you guys to crystallize that format. We're going to get it right now.
Oh, I love
so
that.
excited.
All right.
I love that.
Now Colin's my boss, too.
I think everyone here is your boss. Can we get some music? Also, we have Nathaniel, our producer.
On the keys.
Sorry, I can only play mysterious things today, apparently. I think it's because I'm this off-camera presence. I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
It's kind of mysterious.
Yeah, beautiful.
This is like some Miyazaki
There.
shit.
Yeah.
Hells yeah.
Can you play Summer's Day?
Is that the one that's like?
That's the one.
Oh, shit.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Joe Hisaishi is, I mean, I know that you guys wanted to talk about comedy or filmmaking or whatever, but we could do 45 minutes on the music of the studio.
Yeah. Joe Hisashi's the man.
Deep dive.
He was my most listened to artist last year on Spotify.
Really?
Yeah, that's a
yeah.
great most listened to
So
artist.
So you're super into composition, like listening to it, making it.
A little. I mean, certainly enough that I went to college for it. I was a music
wow.
comp major
I
in
did not know
college.
that. Wow.
And when I got there, we're just diving right in. I'm so sorry. I'm so excited.
This is great. No, this is perfect.
I went to college for music. When I went there, I was like all in on it. I'm going to be a composer. I'm going to write music, art music, like my man, Eric Whitaker, because I was a really cool high schooler and everyone thought, oh, you guys not know who Eric Whitaker is?
No one
Everyone
knows
trust
Eric
me.
Whitaker.
If you were in high school choir, you know who Eric Whitaker is. You're all about him. You're all about him. I was like, Morton Lordson is my guy. I just want to write amazing music like that. And what you find out once you get into the world of classical music is that it's a very like insular, kind of masturbatory, circular community that basically just like trains young people to train the next generation. And they've sort of lost touch with speaking to the common man, for lack of a better word. Like, they don't write music for people to listen to most of the time anymore, except for like a very small percentage who get very lucky and buck a lot of trends and end up in like film scoring or video game scoring. And it's very few people who get to do that. Certainly they're not like in most of the colleges teaching people to do that. I went to OSU, which is not a very super well-known music school. It's a good music school in many ways, but like they're not on the cusp of the future enough to be like forward thinking and say, hey, we're going to prepare you for what the world is like today. No, they're like, we're going to teach you the Bach arias. Bach didn't write very many arias. I don't know why I said that.
This is a foreign language to me. I just want you to.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, not in a bad
I'm on the
way.
second episode. I thought we were going to crystallize the format. Instead, I'm taking you completely off the rails. This is my long way of saying that partway through college, even though I was learning a ton about music and I'm very passionate about it, I started discovering that like I really wanted to spend my life writing comedy, writing stories, because that is in its own ways an artistic language that is valued completely around whether it connects with people. It's like if it doesn't make people laugh, it doesn't matter. If you write music, if it doesn't make people feel, it shouldn't matter. But in the world of classical music, that's not often what it's judged by, which really frustrated me at the time. And so I got into comedy, went to New York, came to LA,
Hey-o.
met Nate, met Steve. My life has been on the ups ever since.
That's great. Do you think being into music and making music helps make comedy? Like, do you think they go hand
wow.
in hand? Because I do both as well. I make music as well, and I do stand up. I do comedy, and they say that timing is like the most important thing. I think like being able to know rhythm and
for sure.
and cadence really helps for making music. Do you or comedy? Do you agree with that?
I found that they have a lot of crossover in like intellectually, abstractly, in the sense that like comedy is about timing, music is time. It's all timing.
Right.
Music is like the sound through space. That's what it is at its core. Very rarely do I get the chance to like very practically apply one to the other, because timing in comedy very different than timing in music, except of course the way you do it, which is like musical comedy. I used to perform improvised musicals in New York at the Magnet Theater, and in that case, I mean, it was like a one-to-one connection. You're singing improvised songs and you have to make them funny.
Totally.
So in that case, 100%. I think a lot of people would love to hear that there's like a formula where it's like, yes, rule of threes, da 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 da. Funny, right? But I've never been able to find something like that. I wish I could.
There's no form. Yeah, there's no form. Well, there's like formulas to joke writing.
Yeah, there's formulas to joke writing that you can teach, but there's something like extra that you got to have to actually deliver it and pull it off.
Yeah.
That I don't think is very teachable. That's something you kind of get through instinct and like nature versus nurture.
Totally.
type thing.
Yeah, and it's a moment too.
Yeah.
Comedy is like it's happening now, baby. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Like it's not like
That was a moment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It just happened.
It just happened.
And you missed it, folks.
Yeah.
You missed
it's
it.
there and
It
it's
wasn't very
gone.
funny. But yeah, like I think Chappelle said, he's like, a lot of comedians wish that they were musicians, and then there's a lot of
That's so
musicians
true.
who think that they're funny, and sometimes sometimes you could do both. And right now I'm lucky enough to be talking to two people who can do both. And
So lucky.
Sometimes you can talk to people who can do both.
yeah, sometimes you can talk to people who do both, and you can learn a lot. But
Dude, but if there's one, I was actually just thinking about this yesterday as I was driving to the show that we were doing on Monday night. If I could go back and do college over and think more about like how am I going to actually become a musician, I would just throw all the things they were trying to teach me. Say like, learn that, put it in your thing, but every exercise that they give you, like it's a school. They're trying to teach you the rules. They're trying to teach you to do things well. They have to. I wouldn't tell them to stop. But like, just try to write shit that sounds good, that you think sounds good and connects with regular people. And if you can just do that, just like in comedy, no one has to tell you that in comedy, because like if people aren't laughing, you're obviously not doing something right.
Yeah.
But no one tells you that in the world of music so much. Like, well, in the world of classical music anyway, it's probably different in the pop scene. But if you're like, so many people will spend months, weeks, hours writing just shit that is like interesting intellectually, and they don't actually think it even sounds that good. Like, would you listen to this if you were just sitting around? It's like, that's what's beautiful about comedy. That's what's beautiful about stories. And that's what brought me into it.
yeah, it's not about how smart. No one cares about how smart. You said
No.
this the other day. No one cares about how smart you are when it comes to comedy. It's
Right.
about like the intelligence of the audience. Like you have to reach that level.
You just have to connect with them. The
Yeah.
audience can be smart, they can be dumb, they can be anyone. It doesn't matter if you're a genius, you have to be able to connect with them. And that's what art is. This is just a little connection. And that is a lesson, folks. I'm so conscious that like they're right there. I can
They're
just
right
look
there.
At them.
You can just reach out
Again,
and
we're gonna
grab
add,
them.
we're gonna add scratch and sniff capabilities to this. I was saying earlier, I wanna be able to make it so if you could scratch a screen and smell what each of y'all smell like.
You start a Patreon. It's like pay a little extra money, and you can feel what it's like to smell next to Steve.
Yeah, exactly.
Steve Musk like.
Exactly, and then you could get brands to come on and be like promote their like cologne and stuff. Like Steve, you could be like, I'm wearing this today, and like scratch and
What do you you scratch the screen?
you scratch this. It's like
Willy
the books.
Wonka
You scratch
style.
the
You
screen, then you
scratch-
smell the screen.
Yeah.
This would require a
technology-
lot of
it's a lot of
technology.
technology. I don't think
Yeah.
it can't be that
Are we
far away
there?
though.
How
We're
far? I
nearly
don't think
there.
we're that
think
far
we're
away.
there. Here's
It's
the
like-
thing. When it does happen, do not scratch Nate.
Well, it just depends
Nate,
where
you
you
smell
scratch me.
Hey.
In the future though, when there is this capability and we go back and add this to all the OGs, like they can scratch you theoretically right now, like what you look like right now, and then I don't know how we'd get your exact smell right now. Is there a way to record smell?
Sure. You just get like a jar.
Tube of jar.
Yeah.
That's,
The jar, I think people use plastic bags sometimes for other things. But
I know that there's a thing because I've seen it on like television shows. Like scientists will be like, they'll get the bag, they'll seal it up, and they'll like put it away in a little cold chest or something.
oh yeah, or like smelling salts. Have you guys ever tried any of those?
No, how does
No,
that?
is that like
how
a
does that
bath
work?
salt?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't really know how bath salts work, to be honest. But it's kind of like they just have like this thing in a jar, and you take a big old whiff, and it's such an intense smell, so pungent, and just like it wakes you up.
Oh, is that what people use to like work out and stuff?
Sometimes, yeah. That's
I've seen like those videos of people at the gyms where they'll like almost look like they're snorting a bunch of smelling
Yeah,
salts,
yeah.
and then they'll like deadlift like 1,000 pounds.
They'll like break something.
Yeah.
they'll
Like
break
their
something,
spinach.
They'll inhale
Yeah.
it, and it just like fucking turns them into a beast.
Oh my god.
I think we need to do those every
It's
time.
like in
we
a
do the
video
podcast.
game.
Just right before. Thanks for coming on!
Well, it's like in a video. You know, in a video game when you get like your special move like saved
Yeah.
up. I feel like it's like a life version of that. Where you like smell this thing and you're like,
You go Super Saiyan.
The first time I saw that was actually on the show Dexter, where that's how he would wake up his victims. He was just like,
oh,
Yeah.
I remember that. Wow.
yeah, all right. See, that's the thing.
That is disgusting.
Anyway, you scored. So you scored this movie that you just did. By the way, we're going to link the short film "The Guardian" by Collin Gossel below. You should check it out before we talk about this any further. 'Cause
Please, the links below. The links below.
links
The link
below.
is right down there.
Guys, fucking please.
Will
All about link.
the movie have smelling capability?
Unfortunately, this was made before the advent of smelling technology. I wish I had waited 1 year. It's like it feels
so
like a
close.
black and white movie now that the era of talkies has begun. But it's the link below, guys. Please go take a look. I would be so honored. It's a fun little comedy short. It's only 5 minutes. Watch it, and then they're gonna ask me about it. I can't wait.
It's a period piece.
Takes place back when your grandparents couldn't smell the phone. When I was a kid, I couldn't feel Haley Joel Osment as I was watching. Shut up, Grandma. My God.
Tell us about this movie. What is other than the fact you can't smell it?
Sure.
You
I
can
mean,
watch it.
that's a
I
big
think-
spoiler.
That's a big spoiler.
The truth, I mean, if they've just finished watching it, they'll know and they'll tell you later. I mean, it's a fun little comedy short. It's about 5 minutes long. I always start by talking it down. I don't know why.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I'm very proud of it. It's
better.
it's in the vein of an Indiana Jones adventure, but it's sort of sending up that parody idea. It's about this magical cave guardian who is guarding a magical treasure in front of a cave. And the adventurer comes along, and the guardian's like, you cannot pass, you cannot get the treasure unless you play this board game with me.
Right. Yeah.
And they're like, oh, what? And you're like, yeah, just hang out with me for a while. He's like, do you just want a friend? No, and it's basically just, it's a fun sketch sending up the idea of how like so many men would love to have friends, but they can't just ask for that because that'd be fucking weird, am I right? Can I say the F word? I'm sorry.
Oh, fuck it.
Oh, thank God.
It was also answered a question I've had for a very long time when I watched like Last Crusade, that Indiana Jones
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
Like, what was that Guardian doing there that entire time? How did he pass the
He's
time?
just sitting around,
Sitting
man.
around. He got no
Too
friends.
old to do nothing. Yeah, I mean, it's very much inspired by Indiana Jones and stuff like that. And I'm super proud, just kind of, I know this won't matter to people viewing it so much, but me as a filmmaker, I've only been a director for a couple years now. I started a year or two after I got to LA because I was writing, kept wanting to get something made. I would like ask friends to direct. They would kind of say yes, and then they would kind of bail because, you know, who's got the time to direct their own stuff plus someone else's stuff? It's like no one. I can't even blame them. Eventually, I just got into directing because I'm like, I want to make something. I want to see my words on screen.
Totally.
And at first, when I started, I was doing it more just as an obligation. Then I got kind of interested, and I've made 4 shorts now. And I'm very proud of how you follow them from one to the other. You can very, very clearly, almost ashamedly clearly, see the things that I learned and got better and just trying to do better and better. And this most recent one, I feel like, is the first that really kind of like seems like it could be professional grade. Now, that having been said, that doesn't stop people from, like, you send a comedy short off to festivals and stuff, and that won't stop them from saying, like, hey, this seems like just a fun little funny time. doesn't seem like a real movie.
Right.
I'm like, well, it took just as much time and effort as my last short, which was like an art film. So I feel like it should get the same respect, but you know, I can't blame him.
And comedy is so hard to get respect for in
Yeah.
general anyway, you know,
Yeah.
and that's an absurdist piece.
Yeah, when's the last time like a comedy won the Oscar
Like
for Best
Annie
Picture?
Hall.
Birdman.
Or Birdman wasn't it?
And that was even,
That was-
and that's the
that
thing
was
is,
much of
if
a
it's a
comedy.
comedy, it has
That
to
was
very much be like,
hilarious,
oh, this is a
It's like a
dark
dark-
comedy.
Yeah, it has to be
though.
We're talking
artsy and
about
out of the
real shit
box.
on
But like, there's some classic, fantastic comedy movies, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
They don't.
Things
But
like
how-
His Girl Friday and stuff, and
I feel like
you know.
I feel like relationship dramas
Relationship
are the ones
comedies,
that,
yeah.
that usually, because I know Annie Hall got the Oscar, I think.
As Good as It Gets got a
And-
few, like Best Actor awards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really
It's
hard.
tricky.
It's really
And
hard.
I'm not trying to poo-poo on any festivals or anything. It's like a festival, even online curators, they have an established voice. They try to stick to it.
Totally.
But
And I
also-
can't blame them for being like, a sketch, even a very well-made sketch, doesn't fit into that.
But if you were gonna poo-poo on them, how would you? How would you poo-poo on
What
them?
kind of poo poo?
If I was going to poo-poo,
Solid,
you guys are good
liquidy.
podcasters. Like, if you were going to talk shit,
Yeah.
what would you say?
This podcast is called Chismoso, which
Which
means
is gossip. Means gossip.
Right? It means
Oh, is that
gossip
really?
in Spanish. So
Okay,
Yeah,
here's the
so-
gossip.
Yeah.
Here's the chismoso.
yes.
Chismoso.
I would say basically like I've seen in my day about 10,000 like short films that are just boring and like poorly produced. Not poorly produced, but like it's so easy to write an art film that people don't actually care about, but it's still like quote unquote important. And it gets back to that same thing I was mentioning where it's like I determine the value of art based on whether you're eliciting an emotional reaction from the audience. Like if an audience doesn't want to watch a piece because it looks like, oh, this is going to drag on, or this is going to be really artsy, or this is going to be really highbrow, this is going to be too deep, or this is just going to make me sad. It's like there is a value to that. I'm not trying to discount it. But like when I go out of my way to like make a very fun, short, funny piece that is very high production value, it took just as much time and effort and talent as my artistic Deep Thoughts short film. I would love if that gained the same level of respect because it's accomplishing what it set out to do, even if that goal wasn't, oh, make the audience have deep thoughts and feel kind of sad about their lives.
Yeah.
The goal was to make them happy, to make them laugh, maybe make them reflect a tiny bit, but it's like also the reaction from my friends and family who are forced to watch it because they know me, it's so much better for this one because it's so much shorter, it's so much better produced, and I feel like the writing is even stronger because, to be completely fair, even to the people who are judging me, I'm probably a stronger comedy writer than I am a drama writer. But it's just a shame that you kind of, I don't know. I really don't want to poop because I understand, like, would I accept it into a festival? Maybe not. I don't know. But you spend, compared to the last couple of short films, I spent so much more time and money and effort making this thing so good. And then you send it out to people and they're like, it's just jokes, man.
Well, and
I'm
at the same
like,
time, it's also like I feel like so many times going to a festival is never an entertaining experience because you're watching one film after another that's like, oh, here's a film about two orphans in this war-torn country, basically, and it's, you know, they find this cat and they establish the relationship with the cat, and and it's like you said, there's like this, you know, I guess interesting, deep, profound, but there's nothing entertaining about it. It's just sort of like, oh, you know, and if you don't like it, then you're the piece of shit as the audience member for, you know what I mean?
And it's like the art is screaming at you like, this is important.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you don't want to, most people don't want to watch it. And, you know, if your art isn't something that people are eager to consume, then it doesn't matter how good it is.
Yeah.
You can't reach the people, you know?
Right.
So that was my big goal when I went to make this project, as opposed to, I made a short film last December that I'm still very proud of. You can look it up on my Vimeo, guys, if you saw the last one on my Vimeo. It's called Family Treasure. It was 12 minutes long. And for those of you who've ever
a
made
long
a short
short.
film, yeah, you'll know, exactly. It's
a long short.
12 minutes versus 5 minutes. It's a huge fucking difference. And it's more about like a family drama and their grandmother's dead. And like, I'm a comedian. So at the end of the day, I'm trying to put jokes in there.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more artsy,
Right.
even though the production value is significantly lower. But that one got a lot more looks from like the festivals and the online curators and stuff. Even though I would say, despite the amazing performances by my actors who gave 110%, and I'm with till the end of both of our days, all of our days, I would say that probably if I had to judge objectively, I'd say my newest short is the superior work of filmmaking. More people want to watch it, more people enjoy it, it's crafted better, and it's shorter, which ultimately I think is a sign that it's better.
Yeah, usually shorter is better, but quality doesn't always mean quality doesn't mean quality. If that makes sense. Like,
Yeah,
production
no,
value
absolutely.
doesn't always mean that it's a story. You know, you can have a
crazy,
great
man.
story with shitty fucking
There's
production
so
value.
many short film producers. I mean, Hollywood has enough short films to run for the rest of time, and they wouldn't have to make any more. But some of them are working off of what could be feature film budgets, like tens of thousands of dollars,
know.
True, yeah.
grants and investors
Totally.
and donations to make a short film that you watch and you're like, eh.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's the whole, like, I'm friends with a lot of people from theater schools still, and they're very, jaded about certain movies, and they'll, like, talk mad shit about, like, this is a bad movie. I don't feel comfortable calling a movie bad anymore.
No.
Because I've kind of, like, gotten a respect for how they're made and, like, how difficult it is to put it out there, and, like, not just making it, but putting it out there is, like, a whole other thing.
Even the bad ones
Even the
are.
bad ones are just, like,
Yeah, I was about to
trial.
say there's
Yeah,
some
some
bad
massive-
movies.
There's some
It's like, I don't agree with that.
like I can call a movie bad, but
No,
like
I
I
know.
do have it's more of like I see what they were trying to do there. Like it's definitely like I have a certain level of respect for
100%.
them
Yeah.
getting through the filmmaking process and then putting it out there.
I've kind of stopped posting on Twitter since I started filming, and for kind of that same reason. Also because you're trying to break into the industry, and people are checking out your Twitter. But it's just like every movie is a huge effort for hundreds of people somewhere. Even the worst movie you've ever seen, it's like you might have to work with those guys again. And like so few people have control even over whether it's good or bad. Like they're on, let's say there was a bad movie called The Guardian. It's like, yeah, there were like, I had an amazing color artist who did this fantastic work and like really killed it, but he can't control whether the director chooses the right shots or picks good music or does this or that. They have no control over it. All they know is they put their best into it. It has a really good color. And then they go on Twitter and they're all like, what a piece of shit movie. Can't believe this. It's the next Mank? I don't think so.
I liked that movie.
No. Oh my God. I love Mank.
I like that movie.
No. But yeah, exactly. And it was an amazing process. The whole film. I loved it.
You said you pumped the most? Was it a big budget or was it
A big budget for Collin.
Yeah.
Not a
yeah.
big budget
Of
for
course, yeah,
Hollywood.
Yeah.
I did produce it all out of my pocket.
You did. Okay. Yeah. Shit, dude.
Um,
But that's cool. That's what makes for better filmmaking, I think, because it's higher stakes. You're like, fuck, I'm using my own money.
Yeah. Every
know,
step was like, I gotta do this as well as I can because
Totally.
if not, I've already wasted thousands of dollars. Yeah, I will say, like, there's an old saying among filmmakers that's like, never use your own money to make a feature or to make anything. Right. And this short, like, which I did make for my own money, kind of confirmed that, not in a way that like, oh, it put me in financial danger. Guys, I'm doing okay. I'm getting married this June. Woo! Look out. But look out. The little pianist thing. But it's like the effort to make something that was professional level, quote unquote. That's a very, who knows what professional level is these days. But to make something that's professional level and produce it out of my own pocket, you have to be simultaneously very creative, very frugal, and also just spend a lot of money anyway. It's like I got a lot of people to help me as favors, but I also had to hire a lot of people, and I want to pay everyone who needs to be paid as much as they deserve, obviously. We headed out on location to this cave in Tarzana, which is like really great, looks fun. But here's the thing, this is what's crazy too. It's like, you look at the cave in the short, you all just watched it. Thank you for that, by the way. And it's like, wow, that cave looks great. And some of the notes that I got back from festivals and stuff, I haven't sent it to many, just a couple of curators who I've sent it to. They're like, I wish you could have done more with your amazing setting. It's like, yeah, I wish I could too. But we had 6 hours, 3 PAs, and like my DP behind the camera. And it's like, every shot that you choose is money. It really, that's what it basically comes down to. It's like, once you have more than 6 or 7, 8 maybe shots, that's another day. And another day means you're hiring people back. Another day means more food, means that you're renting the equipment for longer. It just adds up so fast, even when you're trying to do it as cheaply as possible. And like, that's not even getting into like, oh, if the short is going to be longer, then you might have to hire your colorist for longer. It's more work on my end on the editing and the music. Because you're also spending a lot of your own time. I wrote my own music and I did my own editing, which is great because that's not money. That's also like hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Because the music is the hardest part. Nathaniel on the keys will tell you. I know he's really talented. Okay, fuck you, Nathaniel.
Makes it super easy.
Nathaniel doesn't have any problems. You can do it in a day.
It was pretty phenomenal, though.
Thank
it was
you.
like very, yeah, it was very.
Yeah, is there any?
interesting.
So where can we hear could we just hear the music in the short, or is it on?
I don't have the music by itself uploaded. I might if people are genuinely interested.
Yeah,
shout out to me on Twitter if you want to
Toss
hear
it on SoundCloud or Spotify.
I will say the end credits and maybe the very beginning are worth listening to on their own, but because the short
What was
is
the
so-
instrumentation, if you don't mind me asking? Like, what?
It's a
kind
full
of-
orchestra.
Okay, cool.
I used the Berlin. What's it? I spent way too long going through a bunch of sample libraries to find the one that I felt sounded the most authentic, the most true to what I was going for. I found Orchestra Tools, the Berlin Inspire sample library, which anyone who does a lot of musical work would probably heard of it before.
What program do you use?
I used Cubase.
Oh, okay, cool.
It was my first time using Cubase, actually. My old MacBook couldn't handle anything anymore. It's dead. So I built a PC, found out, oh, now I got to get a new DAW. I got to get a whole new music system. So downloaded the new sample library, basically taught myself how to use Cubase by writing this score. And it was okay. I kind of think I prefer Logic, but Cubase got the job done. And for those of you who've never, I'm sorry, I feel like me and Nathaniel are doing our own
No,
stuff.
I understand some of this.
Basically, like the Berlin Symphony Orchestra records just them playing notes into a microphone. Every note with every articulation that I'm doing this because this is how you play all instruments. They're like, all right, you got the violinist. Everyone play E. Now play D. Now play it legato. Now play it flautando. Now pizzicato. I did the Italian because I thought it was fancy. For a second.
You said you've used Logic before.
In the past,
Because I feel like the built-in strings to Logic are pretty good. Not
They're
like,
okay.
not the like their studio strings that they have where you can mess with the articulations
For sure,
and stuff.
yeah. I used them a little bit on Family Treasure, and they were definitely pretty good. I feel like strings are probably the easiest section to get right because the sound is so pure.
Yeah.
It's like, now, I'm so sorry.
Hey,
Guys,
how was
like
your day?
something-
So when I
Not even a camera.
the hardest section to get right, and what really won me over to Orchestra Tools is brass. It's so hard to get brass that sounds good. Strings sound okay. Strings are pretty easy to get pretty good no matter what. Woodwinds can be hit or miss, but it's like, if you've got it, it's okay. But the brass is so easy to sound bad.
Yeah.
And Orchestra Tools has a really great brass sound. And that's kind of what won me over, because I knew for this big adventure film I was going to need at least a pretty decent horn to do the
course.
or whatever.
That was my favorite part, the horn.
The horn.
A lot of people messaged me about the horn.
horn.
Yeah, they're like, I don't know how much you spent on that horn, but it was worth every goddamn penny.
Hashtag bring back the horn.
But in all truth, I do wish more people, if someone watches the short and all they tell me is that music was really good, that's a win for me. Because it's the hardest thing for me to do. I write the scripts and it's just fun. I like coming up with the shots. I like directing on set. And then when it comes time to write the music, every time I'm like, I hope I can do this. I hope I can do this. And fortunately, it turned out pretty well this time. We've all probably been in a relationship at some point, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. I've been in a
Sure.
relationship.
Something I discovered when I settled down with my fiance. We're very close. We've been together for 6.5 years now. Oh, geez, we've been together for 7.
Oh
and
man,
something
don't
years
worry,
now.
we'll cut that out.
Sorry. Don't worry. She is not listening to this.
So if you were gonna poo-poo on your fiance,
No. She doesn't listen to my work, my podcasts. No.
Ew.
I love her with my whole heart. We've been together for more than 7 years, and something that you kind of discover is that it's just like the poo-pooing of the short films. I don't want to put anyone down,
Don't
but when you
poo-poo
get
on your
really,
fiance.
no, this isn't her. This is her. It's like you kind of stop getting invited to things as much. Because you're just so settled. And it's like, people are like, you want to go to a rave? This last Saturday got invited to a rave that someone was having in their house all night. And I was working, so I couldn't go either way. But even when they invited me, I'm like, I don't want to go.
I don't want to do that. Yeah.
I'd rather, fall asleep at 11 with my beloved after watching 3 episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It's like the perfect life. I found it. I'm there. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I have a lot of very close friends who I still love to death, and I would love if they invited me to more things. I feel like they'll invite you out to a bar and you can't go because you're working. They invite you to something else and you can't go because you need some time with your significant other. And they maybe like mention it to you a third time if they're going out to karaoke and you're like, Tuesday night karaoke, I shouldn't, I have to wake up early. And then they just stop inviting you to stuff. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes like, oh, well, they stop inviting you to stuff. So then you have to always be the one who's like, hey, do you want to like get together in this 3 hours I have between work and when my fiance gets off work? I don't know. I wouldn't say that I relate to him to the point that I can't just be brave and ask for the friendship that I desire. But I do feel that sense of like, I hate to be the guy who's always reaching out for friendship. It puts you in a very emotionally vulnerable position. And of course, if you're being friends with the right people, it's never something that they are a dick to you about. But
Totally.
it does get emotionally exhausting after a while, I would say.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like, it only leads to this vicious cycle where it's like, I'm not going to fucking reach out to people if they don't even want to, like, reach out to me. I'm just going to hang out with my fiance, and then you're with her even more, and then you don't even do the other stuff. But, in all truth, since, like, I don't want to make it seem like I'm just a shut-in who spends all his time with his fiance. You go out, you do things, you meet people at work, you have fun, and you meet people who are in more similar situations to you. It's not until you're in a deep sort of relationship like that that you realize, like, oh, that's why people hang out with other couples, is because they get it.
They get it, yeah.
They understand, and it's like if you have to cancel at the last minute for no reason, it's like, oh, great, see you 4 months from now.
Right.
Totally. I like it when the stakes are low.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No pressure.
No pressure. Our relationship is nothing like that.
No, you put so much pressure on me to hang on.
So much
Like,
pressure.
it's-
So much
pressure.
absurd amount of pressure for Steve to hang out.
Like, he
And
gets,
I'm like that, but to Nate.
yeah.
I put so much pressure on Nate to hang out all the
It's a
time.
vicious cycle because he doesn't want to be left alone with you. So like he.
I know. I'm like,
Don't leave me with Daniel for next week, man.
That actually happened because you were like, we were talking. We're not gonna mention too much about this on the podcast, but we're talking about a guy who you're really angry at right now, and you were talking about that with Nate all day.
Oh my
And you
God.
just mentioned it to me, and you go on it for like about 5 minutes. I'm all right. I'm gonna head out, and then Nate's like, no, what the fuck?
I don't want to hear about this thing again. Please. It's so true. I do that.
Yeah. Nate like throws tantrums.
I do. I'm like a little kid, dude. I get so pissed when he leaves, and I'm at a party, and I'm like, dude, this guy's my anchor sometimes, dude.
Emotionally grounding,
Yeah,
buddy.
dude, it's like my German Shepherd. He's my support animal. I need you to keep me safe.
You said that your relationship's nothing like that. Your relationship is everything like that. You guys are together.
Yeah.
Beautiful
That's
in an
true.
emotional way. Robert McKee in his book Story said, even buddy movies are romances.
That's
Yeah,
so
love
true.
stories.
That
Yeah,
is
totally.
so
Totally.
true.
There you go. Oh, everyone was like, yeah,
Yeah, man.
bro, I
definitely.
get you.
And you don't. He knows so much because he longs for this.
Just watch a short link in the below.
Colin doesn't watch rom-coms anymore. He watches Buddy Cop.
We're gonna link an application to be his bud.
I just wish Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan could be friends.
If only they invite me to
The world
karaoke.
is keeping them apart.
I like how that's what you're looking for. That's
right.
I'm
Everyone
looking
else is
for.
looking for love.
I'm looking for the Tracy Morgan to my Bruce Willis.
No.
That's so fucking funny, dude.
But, you told a really funny story about how you met your fiance. Would you mind?
Oh
repeating
yeah, sure. I was telling them this before the podcast. I said I won't do this on the podcast. And they're like, no, this is podcast material. If I've ever heard it. I met my fiance in college. We both went to the Ohio State University, OH. Such a nerd. I'm sorry. I met her my senior year, but she actually, a close friend of mine who we used to write together at this comedy magazine, met her first in this class that they both had together, and he had a huge crush on her. He was like always eager to ask her out. And she could kind of tell that he was into him and she wasn't interested, not because he wasn't a great guy. I just don't think that she felt the connection. And so she would kind of like avoid him, and he would be like, he would tell me about it. He's like, there's this girl I'm kind of into. I don't think she's into me. And I'm like, dude, you just got to go for it. You just got to get out there, you know? Like, don't give up. Well, unless she tells you, like, she's not interested, in which case, give up immediately, because that's the good thing to do, guys. But then, at Halloween one year, I met her at a party. I asked her out the next day. We immediately started dating, and it was like love at first sight. We've been together ever since. I told him about it, like, a week or two after we had been dating, and I obviously mentioned her name, and he's like, oh, my God. And he got really sad. I didn't understand why. That was the girl. He like went home to his roommates, mutual friends of all of ours. And he was like crying his eyes out. He was telling all of them how I like stole his lady. I don't think he blamed me. I don't think he set it up like that. But like all they knew is he'd been trying to get this girl for like months. And then
immediately.
Old Collin walks in, right up with his devilish ways and his Overwatch t-shirts. And they all like texted me pissed off like, hey man, what the fuck? How dare you? I'm like, I just met a girl. And the worst part is I hadn't even dated anyone seriously for years. Like I dated someone in high school. I like went on a lot of dates in college. I had some, casual romantic trysts, but but my fiance was the first girl who I like got very serious about, and we got very serious very quickly, out of nowhere, just scooping him right out from under my friend. I really feel bad, but don't worry, he's very happy. He got a law degree, met a beautiful lady.
He met a beautiful lady.
Yeah, beautiful lady. They're married now, and I'm still only just a fiance, so he won the battle.
Yeah, that's good. I think his friends were more pissed that they had to deal with it than when you
probably.
did to him. It's
What
like
the hell?
It's like when he leaves when I'm with Nathaniel. It's like the
Or
same
if I leave a girl with you,
Oh my
and
god.
then you become their rock.
Oh my god.
They start
Is
balling.
this a common occurrence?
Oh,
It's happened
dude.
once.
Once? No, yeah, just once.
Just once. Yeah.
You said you had a story you wanted to tell on the podcast. Do you actually want to
Let's
tell it on the podcast?
talk about love. You know, February's
all right,
over.
so-
We're in March. We just had the month of love.
The month of love.
I still think it's Black History Month.
How would
but
you
yeah.
sum up the month of this February? How would Stephen Armstrong sum it up, like in his own words, how it went?
I think it went well in terms of just,
Man, this
Not
guy,
fun.
this is a podcaster.
Great,
Not
great
really, not really.
verbiage.
but this ex of mine who, this was a thing that like we dated and then we got very serious very quickly and then it fizzled out really quickly. And she would keep texting me afterwards though, after she broke up with me over the phone.
Oh man.
And then she would text me a bunch afterwards, like I miss you, all this stuff. Like,
Oh, you can't do that.
I can't believe you're having such an. She would like say like I can't believe you're having such an easy time with this. I'm like it's a lot easier when you break up with me over the phone because I'm like what do I want to do with you ever again? But so I blocked her for a while. And then, because she just kept calling me, and then I unblocked her finally because I just want to see the world burn sometimes. But so she texted me, and I texted back because it's been a while at this point. The feelings are a little bit less raw. So I was like, "How you been? How you doing?" She's like, "Oh, I'm good. I saw you recently, but I ran away like a real adult would." And I was like, all right, yeah, probably smart move. And she was like, yeah, I was with my boyfriend at the time. And I was like, okay, cool. That's what you wanted to say.
There's the
Sure,
reason
sure.
for
There's a reason for the call.
Oh my god.
So she got this new boyfriend, and they're like already talking about getting married and all that stuff.
Wow.
And I'm just like, toss a fucking bullet there.
So you feel good, you're glad for her? Or
I'm very happy for her because
Yeah.
like she was not doing great after the breakup. So like now it
But
seems
she
she's very
initiated the
happy.
breakup too.
Yeah.
Huh. It's interesting.
Fun how that happens.
I think that's always funny because I feel like that happens a lot where they like break up with you and then they demonize you for being such a bad person and like, oh, how could you do this to me?
Well, have you guys seen?
There's probably a guilt. There's a guilt element. You know, if you're the person who breaks up with the other person, so many people will view you, will villainize you, family of the people and stuff. And there's probably a level of it where you're just like I don't want to feel so much like the bad guy, so that you choose to then focus on the problems of like, well, you drove me to this point. That's why I broke up with you. You know,
Sure, it's also probably like a great defense mechanism.
Exactly.
Rather than, like in terms of just Like
Yeah.
I don't want to like care about this person anymore, so I'm going to focus
Yeah.
all my energy on hating them. Whereas like recently with my previous breakups, it's always been like, okay, we'll be friends afterwards, and like I still very much care about this person, and I still love this person in a great deal. But it's like that hurts, after a while, and like they move on, and they're like, fuck, that hurts. But
This reminded me of what you were saying too. Have you guys seen the television show Love Is Blind?
Dude, I just watched it.
Dude, and this show,
It's
I mean,
nuts.
first of all, it's fucking insane.
It's
Has
nuts.
it convinced
It's a
anyone
nuts show.
that Love Is Blind?
I mean, there's
Yeah,
success is in
yeah,
there.
yeah,
But
there's-
what's really crazy about this show is they set it up like what I think is wildest about the show is they set it up like the premise is, oh, would you get married to someone before you've even seen them? And I'm like, of course that's weird. That's weird for sure. But what's even crazier about this show, it's like, would you get married to this person when you are a person who has made it to the point where you're willing to go on this show and
dude,
still be single?
I think of that all
Like
the
these
time.
people, like what it really is kind of an exploration of the kind of personality that has allowed themselves to be single for this long, can't make anything work, and you're watching them try to make basically a marriage work when up to their whole lives at this point they've just been like self-sabotaging themselves. And it's so easy to do because like you start to see, like if you're watching it in that lens, you're like, oh, these people, like these aren't, obviously the problem of getting married a month after you met is just a problem in general, and it's going to be hard no matter what. But so many of the things that even the show tries to hype up as drama, you're like, this doesn't have to be drama if you guys just knew how to handle yourselves emotionally a little better. And there is a point in a relationship, which I thank God every day that and I really like flew through. We were really happy about it, where it's like we're always going to try to change for each other, compromise for each other, but there is also things about us that just won't change. And there's things about this relationship that are beautiful beyond belief and things that are always going to frustrate us a little. And sorry, I shouldn't say her name. My fiance, and now y'all are gonna dox her. Goddamn. My fiance, she doesn't like the phrase that like love is a choice because she's like, I never have to choose to love you. I love you. But I didn't say this to her when she said this. I kind of like the phrase that love is a choice because there is a time in a relationship. There's a time early, there's a time in the middle, and there's a time, I'm sure, many years from where I am right now, where you have to say like, I could cut and run. Try to find something that fixes all the little problems out there. All the people in Love Is Blind are always like, I don't know, I'm a little worried about this, I'm a little worried about that. People who are still single, like, as they get later in life, but still insist that they want to find someone like that, you find that they're like looking for this perfect scenario. When in truth, it's like, happiness is yours for the taking if you're willing to like find the joy that you have and be happy with it and try to like bring joy to the people who you love, even recognizing that like, oh, the world isn't perfect. I'm certainly not perfect. You probably don't think that I'm like sex on two legs. And there's a couple of things about you that aren't perfect as well. And that's not even true. If she's watching this, my fiance is perfect and there's no issues. But it is a choice. You have to be willing to say like, I love you. I love you, and I'm never going anywhere. It doesn't matter what's going to happen. We are together. We're in this as a team. And I know that doesn't mean that it's all going to be sunshine and rainbows forever. Yeah.
So in a sense, it is blind. You know what I mean? Like
In a sense,
it's
in a
like it's
way.
like you know, no matter what you get, you know, you'll make what you make of that. You know, and obviously you don't want to be treated poorly and stuff. And
We should have put a camera on Nate.
I know. I just haven't shut up. Last time I literally didn't talk at all. There's just a lot. There's a lot that you're saying that I'm connecting with.
A lot, like on this one of the craziest things about Love Is Blind, though, is obviously that short window of time. They fall in love, which is probably actually not real love. It's probably just a deep and instant infatuation.
Yeah.
It's not super hard to find if you're just willing to sit down and talk with someone who's hot for a while.
Right.
But what would you
that's
define?
another
How would you define as someone who's getting married, who's been in a relationship with someone, so you know what it's really
an
like to
expert
be
now.
with? No, but first, like, how would you define? And how old are you, if you don't mind me
I'm
asking?
29.
Okay, so
30 in August. Jeez.
August? August
Leo.
what? Yeah. I'm August.
So-
Answer, but hey.
My birthday's
how would
August
you
1st,
how
baby.
would
Love
you
Titanic.
define love in terms of how you've
wow.
grown to understand it?
How would I define love? As the director of a middling short film, I think I can really give you guys the secret of this. Here's what I'll say. is that when I was young, I thought I had all the answers to all sorts of things. And I really pictured myself with a certain kind of person. And then as you get older, if you're doing life right, you really start to realize that, like, not only are there many ways to find a certain goal, there are also a million different goals that you could be working towards as a person. Like, if I were to give someone life advice on how they should live their life, how to find the best love, I would need to know, like, what do you need from a partner? What are you looking for? And I'm not just asking, like, in your dream. And the truth is that what you might be looking for is something that you don't even know you need, which is an even more frustrating answer. But overall, I think love is what gives you the thing that you need.
And what was that for you that you discovered?
For me and my fiance, what really, like, makes the difference, why she was so important to me instantly, why I'm going to love her for the rest of my life, is that when I'm with her, I feel like I am truly myself. There's no front, there's nothing. She accepts what that is, the good and the bad. She helps to make me better, and she also calls me out when I'm being bad,
in every form of that word.
In every form of that word. But really, what really made the difference right away is that from the first moment I was talking to her, I just thought, this woman is incredible, and when I'm with her, I feel at home. That she is my home and my family, and I don't need anything else. I can be content in who I am. But for other people, that might not be what you need. You might already innately have that sense, or you might not even desire that in your life. There are very adventurous people out there who don't need that sense of, like, comfort and stability. For them, I would say, like, my general advice to all people who are looking for love would be to be open, to date, and not feel like every date is high stakes. And then when you find what it is that makes you feel good, don't be so worried about the future that you can't seize the happiness that you can find in the moment. Because so many people give up the happiness of the here and now for the possibility that they may be unhappy 10 years from now. It's like, who the fuck knows what's happening 10 years from now? No one does. Be happy now.
Will the earth even still be here?
Right. When there was a moment early in my relationship with my fiance when I was planning on moving to New York. She didn't know if she was going to New York, and she was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I need to know you're seriously committed, not just like as a boyfriend and girlfriend, but like we're in this for the distance. Otherwise, I'm not going to keep dating a guy who might be moving long distance from me. And I struggled with it for like a day or two, like cried, wept, other synonyms, sobbed. And then there was this really wonderful moment right in my music school. I was walking down a hallway, like pacing, thinking about this, because I was the weirdo who would do shit like that. And I just realized, like, I'm happy now with her. She brings me joy. I know that I would be heartbroken if I left her. I don't know what next year will bring when I'm in New York and she's, who knows where she's going to be. But I know that this is the joy of the moment, and I'd be an idiot to walk away from it and just make myself as unhappy as I used to be. And so I said, I'm in this, baby. We're doing this. We're together in it, committed, hard. It's the smartest decision I've ever made. I can pick it out as the best decision I've ever made right in that hallway. And we're still together to this day.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. That is beautiful.
Thank you.
I think we're going to take a break right now.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for these beautiful words. Except the way you do it. I used to perform
yes, rule of three. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Funny, right?
How much was it?
I don't know. I
Not
don't wanna know.
$2,000.
I don't
Well,
wanna know.
here's the thing. Do I think that the Disney tickets are wildly overpriced? Yes, 100%. Especially because, and Disney, I hope you're listening to this because I am a true fan and I want you to be successful. Like they're
Yeah, they really need a. They
really
really
need Collin
need.
Gossel
Yeah, you
for
need
their
to.
the quality of the experience has not gone up since they've raised their prices. It really feels like quality of the experience has gone somewhat down, even since the pandemic restrictions have been easing off. That having been said, like, it's hard to describe. My fiance has anxiety. She's very anxious. That sense of home and comfort that I described that she gives me, I don't give that to her. No, I'm sure I do to some degree, but like, since she's been growing up all the way back in Ohio, like going to Disney World and Disneyland, like it has a singular place in like her cultural brain. Like it tickles a certain itch where it's like she can be completely relaxed there in a way that she can't be in many places. Just like the magic of it, the nostalgia, the sense of like, oh, we're here to just have a good time. And she gets that at other theme parks as well. We're still season pass holders to Six Flags. If you want to talk about a place that needs to get its shit together at some point.
Were you pissed when they
You're
got
buying the nostalgia. You're buying that feeling.
Yeah,
too.
but it's like I can't. I'm not saying I'm doing it just for my fiance because I have a great time at Disney. I love Disney. I'm a huge
Yeah.
theme park fan. I watch a bunch of videos. It's not like I don't enjoy it at all.
Right.
I think it's more than it's worth, but it's like I will pay whatever it takes at the end of the day for my fiance to have this thing that really brings her joy
For
in a
her,
world
yeah.
full of like anxiety and nervousness. And it's just insane. Like Disneyland has a singular place, I feel like, in the cultural zeitgeist. And it's so fascinating to think about, and I'm sure that they love that we're all spending all this time dissecting them and thinking about it. It's all just free press.
I mean,
Totally.
I did a joke about this the other night, but I really love the Disney's business model that they got going on. Like they make a really dope movie, and everyone sings the songs, and they sing it over and over and over again to the point where it gets a little bit stale. And then at that point, the CEO of Disney like looks at his goons, and he's like, "Hey, put that shit on ice."
Put it on.
Put it on ice. Put it on ice.
Yeah, and then they easily make another $10 million off that.
Yeah,
hard.
dude.
You think you think about over in like Ohio. This is getting into the entertainment industry now, guys. This is where the spicy entertainment industry takes come out. Get ready. This is Hollywood Gossel.
Hollywood Gossel.
Hollywood Gossel. I've got some
Another
hot takes.
podcast.
Get ready. Spin-off
Also-
Bring
podcast.
back, what was your? if you don't mind me asking, what was the name of your other podcast?
Oh, right. Yeah. If anyone wants to look it up, me and my friend Brandon Zellman.
Jew?
We.
I'm a Jew. I'm a
Incidentally, yes,
Jew.
he is
I'm a
Jewish.
Jew. First of all, I'm
Yeah.
a Jew. Just to preface that.
Right.
Second of all, anytime I hear a Jewish name like Zellman, I gotta say Jew.
First time I heard that.
Oh,
we
I
have-
do it all the time. Goldberg.
I swear this is a regular thing.
Yeah.
Oh, there's nothing weird here. There's nothing
Goldstein,
funny.
Silvers, all of you. Jew.
We had a podcast called Who's That Pokemon? It's on hiatus right now. We ran for 160 episodes.
When
in
was the
our
last?
first
When was
season.
the last episode?
The last episode that we put out dropped in last July. It was Mew. We just go through the Pokedex in order, starting with
wow.
Bulbasaur, ending with Mew. And we did a full hour on every Pokemon, analyzing their strengths and weaknesses,
Wow.
what we think of them. And if you're thinking like, wow, that sounds like a bad idea for a podcast, that if you're like, oh, are you super interested in Pokemon? It's like, no, I wasn't. I vetoed this idea multiple times.
Wow.
He kept coming back to me. Brandon was like, I don't know, it sounds like this podcast could go forever, and that's kind of what we want, right? I'm like, I mean, if it's something we want to do forever.
Yeah.
But here's the real shame of it, the real the thing that I hate the most is that it became a pretty popular podcast.
Yeah,
A
dude.
lot of people, we have some really wonderful fans who have a great time listening to me and Brandon. But I'd say the last 75 episodes or so are mostly me just being like, do you really want to do this, Brandon? Do you want to be here? We spent 2 months just making it through Nidoran, you know, because they do Nidoran twice. We did. They do 2 in a row. It's like Nidoran, then next week, Nidoran, then Nidorina, then Nidorina, then Nidoking, then Nidoqueen. It's like 2 months of our lives.
Jeez.
But it's like people who listen tell us that it's a very fun podcast because Brandon and I are very close and we had a great time. It's called Who's That Pokemon?
There's 1,000 episodes.
No, there's 151 or something.
I thought this was like One Piece.
But
or
like that's
something.
3 years. That's 3 years of our life because it was a weekly podcast. Exactly.
Did you guys use the soundbite?
So what
for
did you
that?
like?
Yeah,
but what
that's
did you
great.
did you learn a lot about Pokemon through this process?
No, nothing. It's a
What?
piece of shit.
So,
No.
you
have to
remember?
learn
Do you
something,
retain?
and
Do you
it's
have like all this like, maybe not useless because it might come in handy one day, but do you have all this useless fucking knowledge on Pokemon?
Yeah, I do kind of. Like,
Like-
you bring up Ninetales, I can tell you that in the Pokedex entry, because here's what you don't know is that there's Pokedex entries for like every Pokemon from every game, even if that Pokemon like isn't in that game a lot of the time. There's a Pokedex entry for Ninetales from like Pokemon Gold or something, where they talk about how in mythology, Ninetales is a fox that was created when 9 wizards were murdered, and each wizard's soul inhabits one of the tails or something.
Oh, really?
So I know lots of like stuff like that. Sure.
That's Pokemon lore? Or is that just
That's
Ninetale
Pokemon
Fox?
lore. That's
Really?
canonically
'Cause
Pokemon
that's
lore.
a Naruto thing,
Yeah, I was
too.
going to say, isn't that like Naruto?
see,
is
I
that,
don't
is that
even
a
fucking
classic
know.
Japanese lore? Maybe perhaps
It could be.
based
There's a lot of
like
things.
Thor and Marvel is like
Most of the appeal of the podcast, which once again I will remind you because I'm talking about it as if it's a piece of shit, has a lot of fans, thousands of fans. We get thousands of downloads every month, despite the fact that I haven't put anything out in July. And our like during many episodes, we would chant unsubscribe, unsubscribe, stop listening.
Are there people like searching for you, being like, when is this coming back?
Yeah, well, just yesterday we got tweeted at by a fan saying like, "Hey, are you guys on hiatus? When's the next episode dropping?" Because
So what do you want to say to them right now?
yeah.
I'd
What do
say
you
to them,
tell? Yeah,
thank you so much for
Don't
being...
poo-poo on them.
No, I would never poo-poo.
You
because
might
they
destroy them.
they followed us. They're fans who say they've re-listened to the series
Wow.
because they listened to the 151, and I think this is the appeal of many podcasts is that you grow to you feel you're friends with the hosts and stuff,
Yeah.
and that's why I think
Hopefully.
people listen to ours. Thank you all so much for listening. I appreciate everything. I, to this day, don't understand how people find it enjoyable. I guess me and Brandon are both pretty funny, and we have a good time together. Brandon will be doing a second season, and it will come soon.
Who's that Pokemon?
I don't know whether I will return for it, but the Who's That Pokemon will be born again.
Born again. I'm a born again Pokemon actually.
Woo, you heard it here first.
There you go. Big announcement. We actually, I'll tell you this story. This is one of the things that I bet prompted that Twitter exchange just the other day. Something that we discovered, we got lucky. I don't know how, but we were like the first people to come up with a podcast with the title, Who's That Pokemon?
That is crazy.
That is
That's
really crazy.
fantastic.
You would feel like that. I know it's so perfect for our premise, and you would think that it'd been scooped up, but we Googled beforehand and we couldn't find anything,
Wow.
so we took it. But immediately after our podcast started, we started getting other people taking that name and using it on their podcast with varying other premises and whatnot. And I always thought it was very funny. Brandon would get so pissed off. He'd be like, I can't believe these people didn't even bother Googling our podcast. We have like 100 episodes out now, and they're just gonna come in and like have our name and start siphoning our followers. Just 2 weeks ago, a new podcast. Now, we've been on hiatus for nearly a year now, so it's like, who knows how weird this is, but another podcast started up basically the same premise, that they're going to go through the Pokemon and explain them to their
Right.
friends. Same name, Who's That Pokemon? And Brandon had a whole Twitter exchange with these very kind people who
Right.
even said that they listened to some episodes of our podcast before
Making the
basically
same
making the
thing.
same podcast.
Yeah, that's a little nuts.
Which, I mean, on one hand, I'm like, kind of weird that you would listen to our podcast, see the name, see what it's about, and then do the same thing with the same name. Sure. But at the same time, it's like, I guess, thank you for liking us so much that you're like doing the same thing. Or as Brandon was like, he reached out to them, he's like, dude, you got to choose a new name. That's our thing. We're going to start a second season soon. I'm like, oh, dude, you shouldn't.
Yikes. Twitter war.
Twitter war. No.
You guys should challenge each other to a Pokemon battle
Yeah,
for the
then-
name.
Yeah, whoever wins.
That would be a great story, too, because no matter what happens,
That'd be a great podcast.
that would be, have them come on, battle it out.
And then it's like, no matter what the name ends up being, you're getting subscribers. And you
That's
can
what I'm
change the
saying.
name. The RSS feed stays
That
the
is
same.
clickbait. 2 podcasts.
On the podcast, I would often say that I liked their show better, and I was planning on leaving,
Damn.
but Brandon would get so pissed.
Damn.
I miss Brandon so much. He's my best man. I miss you, B.
Oh, shout out to
Does
B.
he not invite you out
Zellman.
anymore?
Oh, it's not running. It's
Okay. No, I mean, back to the earlier thing about people. You said don't invite you out as much.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is he one of those people?
Did Brandon invite you out?
I'm sure he would. He's in New York.
I see.
So it's like, okay, gotcha.
We used to record in person, obviously, and one of the reasons why it became like kind of a chore to keep going is that the second 2 years of our podcast, I was recording from LA and he was in New York, and it just was like, especially once the pandemic started and leave the apartment, it'd be like, oh, once a week for 3 hours I have to scream about Ponyta while she
Yeah.
tries to work in the other room.
Oh man.
And she didn't love it. I don't find any joy in discussing Pokemon.
It's a little soul crushing.
A little bit.
Yeah.
After a while, like I love. Thank you for having me. One of my favorite things. One of my favorite things in the world. No. Straight up, one of my favorite things in the world is to be a guest on a
too.
podcast.
I feel that.
You
I
come in,
totally feel
you
that.
have a good time, you start the show, you talk about
Totally.
whatever it is, and then you never have to come
Yep.
back
This-
unless they want you
This
to.
sucks.
Yeah.
No, I swear to God. No, you're right. Because I've
No,
done
the
another
worst is my
podcast
position
before.
because I have to just do all the fucking work.
Oh, you're not doing
I was
shit.
producing it too.
I have to do all the fucking work. These two assholes gonna just leave
And
me.
yet still, somehow, Nate is my boss.
I am the boss. I am the boss. I'm editing this shit after. Fuck off. I'm
That's
doing
right.
it.
Steve's the asshole.
Yeah, Steve's the asshole. He didn't even help set this up.
I
Yeah.
showed up. I did nothing.
You just sit and look good with your
We're like,
sexy
Steve,
voice.
please come hang with us.
I know,
Steve's like, I
this
don't
is-
want to hang with them.
This is an excuse for us to be with you, man. and I don't think I'm winning. I don't think it's good.
No.
It is a good power struggle. I do feel egotistical doing this, which is
And
good.
you seem very powerful.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
I'm in the middle.
In the middle, yeah.
He's like, if
I
this
got
the last, if
I
it
have
was
the
the Last
least hair.
Supper, would you be Jesus? Is that what you're saying?
Look at this. No.
I'd be Judas.
Judas?
Judas, are you gonna stab my back?
That thing.
What does that mean?
Peter.
Peter?
But
I don't know. Is that a name?
I don't know. Paul? Is it
I'm
Paul?
not a good Christian.
I'm a Jew. I don't know. I don't know these things.
I was raised
This
Catholic.
isn't in
I'm
my
not
book.
Catholic.
Oh my
in all seriousness, love those podcast fans. Miss
Yeah.
y'all. It was a good.
Check it out. We'll probably link
Yeah,
it as
they'll-
well.
Who's that
We'll
Pokemon?
link
We'll
it
link
as
it.
well.
Give it some listens.
Who's that Pokemon?
If you had to choose between watching my new short film and becoming a fan of my old podcast, don't tell Brandon, but please watch the short film.
watch The Guardian instead.
But if you're looking for more Gossel content, listen to that podcast. Go to collingossel.com.
Pokemon?
Check out my scripts.
Who's that Pokemon?
Pikachu!
Clefairy. That shit is a
name.
classic.
That's a
That
shit.
is
That's a
classic.
classic.
That's the stuff right there.
That is the goods. That is the goods. You're the goods.
Thanks, my man.
You're amazing.
Dude, you guys are so amazing.
Honestly-
you're two of my favorites. Thank
All
you
right,
for having
come
me
on,
here.
Stop it. Stop
You
it.
run an amazing
You
show.
always
with
do
Thousand
this. You
Jokes.
always.
You're so sweet.
Anytime.
So welcoming to all the comedians who come
Ups
in.
the compliments.
He does, and I don't know how to handle it. I don't. He's like, I love you. I love coming to Thousand Oaks.
It's great out here.
Oh my God.
I don't get called
no
any
one-
compliments.
Yeah, I know.
Don't do it. You're not gonna get anything but love in return.
Yeah, I can't handle it.
I can't handle it.
It's not Ohio. When you're from Ohio, it's like anyone who gives you even the slightest good thing in your life, you're like, oh, I owe this person my life now. It's a real shame. When we work with a girl named Ashton. She's very kind. Every now and then I'll be like having a bad day, as everyone does. I don't tend to show it so much. I'll just kind of like be quieter that day.
Yeah.
But Ashton will say something, Collin, you're doing a great job putting those checks in. And she's doing it as a joke. I know she's doing it as a joke.
Yeah.
But I don't feel right until I do the same thing back to her about some random shit she's doing.
Right.
Literally, it burns me. I'm like, you brought me up for a moment, so now I must say, great job getting those drinks, Ashton. Well done.
The equal exchange.
that Midwestern nice. You can't escape it. It's not real, but it's real.
So, if you don't mind me asking, actually, we were talking about this right before we start recording. You and I know you do a bit on this.
Sure.
But you said you only started drinking more recently in life.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you think that was partly from where you grew up, or?
No, not at all. They love drinking in Ohio.
Okay.
They're all for it out there. It was weird that I didn't drink there. And it was weird I didn't drink in New York, and it was weird when I didn't drink here. Never so weird that anyone, like, if you're a cool dude, no one cares if you drink or not. You can still party or whatever. Though I will say you get invited to less bar stuff. They're like, "Does Collin want to go to a bar?" It's like, yeah, I love going to a bar. They've got soda at bars. I'll hang out at the bar. You all know me. Here's something you don't know about me. It might even be a thing about people in general. When you hang out with a lot of people who are getting slowly drunker, you start acting slowly drunker.
Totally.
Right. Even if you're not drinking at all.
Yeah.
It's like they start being less inhibited, and you start being like, dude, I just love you so much. I love everything about you. And they're like, oh, what are you drinking? I'm like, it's orange juice, and I love you. I love you. You're one of my favorite people.
I love you. I love OJ.
But was it like, so what? When did you start drinking? How old were you?
I was 29. It was last March when I started serving at the restaurant.
Right,
And it was
okay.
purely because like I was serving a lot of alcohol.
Yeah.
People ask you questions.
Yeah. Taste it.
They don't even ask. Steve will tell you. They don't ask you many questions about like, what does this taste like? Because
Right.
what's really shocking is that like people don't know anything about alcohol. They're just like, I don't know, give me a whiskey and Coke, and you're like, yeah, great. I was serving a lot of alcohol, so I just thought, I feel like I should know. So I started drinking, and then once you start, trying drinks, it's like, why not try all the rest of the drinks?
So what were?
Why was I not?
No, well, before we get into that, even like, I want to know what were some of the.
Camera B is done.
What were some of the first drinks you tried, and what were some of the drinks did you
drinks
enjoy
I tried.
any of them, like, or were you like, oh, this is all gross? Like,
Yeah.
had you drinking any alcohol before this? Like, had you even tasted it? Like,
I'm sure my answers will be similar to any like guy in their late teens who's trying alcohol for the first time. I'd taken sips of wine. I was an Episcopalian, so of course I had Jesus' blood.
Just the blood of Christ.
And one time on my 21st birthday, I had a chocolate milk rager, like as a joke, and one of my friends spiked one of my chocolate milk shots with vodka. That was bad.
That's fucked up.
That was fucked up of him.
That's really
very
fucked
I
up.
spit it out. I didn't even swallow it.
That's good.
Which I guess makes sense because, I was expecting chocolate milk. I wasn't expecting a shot of vodka, so that
Yeah.
really
That's happened to
hit
me
me
a couple
hard.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
But there's stuff that even now I'm like, I don't know really what the appeal of this is. And there's other stuff that tasted fine right away. People are always asking me, oh, what's your favorite drink? I don't think I know them well enough to have like a favorite liquor, but I know that I've had a lot of whiskey cocktails, gin cocktails, some tequila cocktails. I've tried various wines, both white and red. You get a pretty good variety at the restaurant. They do pretty good, like giving you samples of everything. There's nothing that I found that I just thought was like bad straight up. Like everything seems redeemable if you have it in the right context. I will say I've had a couple of shots of tequila, and those aren't fun.
No, those.
I don't know why people would want to do that.
No.
I also had a shot of whiskey, I think, on my birthday party because some friends were like, "You got to do it," and everyone peer pressured me. It's like literally one of only 5 times in my life I've fully given into peer pressure.
Right.
The shot of whiskey wasn't great either. So I guess shots aren't fun, which everyone seems to agree on.
Have you ever been drunk, or tipsy? Or
The drunkest I've ever been was on my birthday.
Right.
And I wouldn't even say I was fully drunk. I was more just very tipsy, very like free and
Loosey-goosey.
I have a very fast metabolism.
Yeah.
It's why I'm
Dude, look
fucking
at you.
like this.
I know.
I'm trying to put on weight right now. I'm trying to bulk up for the
Dude.
wedding. That's why I ate that protein bar before we started.
Yeah, trying to look good for Hawaii.
And it's doing. Granted, I've only been working out for about a month now, but I can tell it's going to be an uphill battle. I just digest it all. So, like most of the time when I drink, I don't even feel much of anything. Every now and then, I'll get a little bit woozy, and it wears off in about 15 minutes.
well, how often would you say you
Not
drink?
often.
Like,
One of the upsides of starting to drink when you're 29, it's like the period of binge drinking is behind most people.
Yeah.
So you're not getting pressured a lot to go beyond what would be just a fun time.
Totally.
You go out for people and they offer you a drink. It's like if you start when you're 20, everyone goes out and they're like, all right, hope we're alive tomorrow.
Oh,
Let's
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
kill ourselves.
I started that at like 17, 16.
Hells yeah,
That was
baby.
bad. I'm sober now. So people still invite me out because they're like, well, he used to be a mess. He could be around.
He was
me."
a crazy.
But you-
you don't get tempted or anything.
No, as well. Well, it's more internal. It's more. It's
internal.
one of
But you
those
see,
things
you were
where-
never interested in like binge drinking. Like, I want to see what it's like to be very drunk. Like, it was just never appealed.
Not really. No, I'm like something about me, and this is getting more just into my personality, is that like I very much value my sense of control over myself. Like I think that I don't know how well this reads to other people because I also don't mind using that sense of control to do crazy shit that other people might not do, saying weird things, or like back before I was more worried about my body's longevity, I would like even do things that were physically dangerous on comedy stage. I did improv a lot. I can't tell you how many times I just fell onto a hard stage, or one time I ran into a wall so hard that I like broke an outlet.
So you're like, I don't want to get fucked up from alcohol. I just want to like get fucked up by life.
Yeah, but it's like what was important is that like everything that I do is fully conscious. And what I think one of the things that really didn't appeal to me about alcohol is the idea that I will have to worry not only about not having control over what I do, but maybe preferring that. Like, what if there's a state that I enjoy more than my sober state that I feel like I have to be in to have a good time, but is bad for me and isn't even really like me because I'm not making the choices.
Yeah.
I know all about that, buddy.
I really worried about having sort of that.
I know exactly what that
conflict.
I know exactly what that is. You don't want that. You did a good job.
Right. But then as I got older and more confident in myself and who I was and comfortable in the person that I am, then you don't start to mind so much the idea of like, oh, I could have a good time, just have a few drinks, maybe get a little less inhibited, and I don't worry about hating the real me when I get back to sober state.
So you trust that like, oh, I can come back to sobriety and I'll be good. I feel I have a
and
good baseline.
I'd say that I reached that point of a maturity and confidence probably 23 or 24, like shortly after I met my fiance. But at that point, once you're 23, 24, and you've never been drinking, it's like, you kind of are like, why do I even want
What's
to
the
start?
point? Yeah.
Why am I'm having a great time. I'm
Totally.
doing great. My body is certainly happy that I haven't started drinking. I'm not spending all that extra money that all my friends are spending. And if nothing else, it's like, it's just a little cool thing about me. I don't drink.
Do you feel like when you're like in your, I don't know, like 80s or 90s or something, do you have like a curiosity about being like, I'll try all of the things at some point, you know?
I don't know. I still don't do any other drugs besides just alcohol, which is a drug, fucking government.
Yeah.
And it's literally exactly the same as alcohol. I really don't have any problem with them, and I don't think that I'd have any real problem with doing them, but at this point it's just like, there's nothing really drawing me towards them because I feel like I'm having a good time. And I don't really need that. Now, if I'm 80 or 90 and someone offers me some cocaine, no, I probably still would. That doesn't sound like me. I come
That's
off.
the worst time to do cocaine.
I die.
Yeah.
I die.
That
I feel like I
works
come off as like I don't know how I come off. I think a lot about how I come off, but the truth is that I'm a nerd and a goody goody.
Do you come? Yeah, you come off as a wholesome and put together dude.
Oh, thank
with
you.
A lot of.
I think that's probably pretty
talent
accurate.
and heart. And
What?
I'm serious,
I think
dude.
here's what I say about you now. I won't do
That's why I don't say any of this shit. I always
Steve
put
just
them down.
holds it in and puts me down. And it works. It makes me a better
works.
person.
I think it does.
I told Steve once, you know, you taught me so much as a friend. You taught me how to hate things.
Yeah.
I used to never hate things.
You gotta hate something.
And then I met Steve and I was like, oh, I'm allowed to hate things.
Yeah.
Spectrum
Other
of the
than
human
just
experience.
myself. It was like, I can
Aw.
hate him too.
Yeah.
You guys are so in love. It's beautiful.
Oh,
You
yeah.
do.
Let's get it out sometime.
I'll
show
tell you,
you
I'm
how
bad
to-
at food. I know
you?
I am. For sure.
I mean,
Can you
no.
can you cook at all?
Are you a chef?
No, I'm not.
One
of my
fiance?
What about like
does she
season?
cook?
Like if she was like, oh, just season this, and you were just like did a little of that.
I mean, I think that we all know, having worked at, like, another thing that working in a restaurant has done wonders for me is just my adventurousness with eating. Coming out of Ohio and being kind of a picky eater until maybe a year or two ago. Like, I would just eat very bland things. I'm one of
Ohio's
the
bland.
Yeah, it's a bland place for nice,
food.
bland people. And I mean, I'm that kind of guy. It was very white. very white.
bread.
It's one of those places. I'm one of those guys who literally, like, you could ask him, like, if you gave him a refrigerator full of all the food in the world and said, make what you want, every day I would make the same sandwich with ham and cheese and nothing else.
Mayo?
No.
No
spicy.
mayo.
Just ham. I don't like mayo.
You just
like
don't like
ketchup?
mayo.
I don't like mayo.
Ketchup?
Don't like ketchup. Don't like mustard.
What?
It's not. It's just I don't like the
That is
taste of those things. But I do
so
like other things. I
white.
like barbecue. I like certain aiolis if there's not too much mayo.
You're an
Yeah, like I like the garlic aioli on
Yeah,
some of
yeah,
our
it's really
sandwiches at
good.
the restaurant.
Yeah.
But I don't like mayo, and I just don't like ketchup and mustard. And growing up in like, here's the thing too. This is where it starts to become an issue. Is growing up in Ohio, it's a very bland place.
Right.
They don't put a lot of seasoning on things except for ketchup, mustard, and like mayo. They don't like spice their
Yeah,
shit up.
yeah.
And so you grow up thinking like, oh, I just don't like anything. No, I just don't like ketchup, mustard, and mayo.
Right.
If you eat something that's well seasoned and well with a nice sauce out here,
Yeah.
or even at a nice restaurant in Ohio, I don't want to put them down too much. You start to realize it's like, no, I just don't like those specific trashy condiments.
Did you try a lot of new food when you came out to LA and New York, though? that you-
Not at first,
Okay.
but especially once I started working at the restaurant, started really trying a lot more.
Do you like
things.
spicy?
Not too spicy, but a little spicy.
I like sushi. Do you like sushi?
Yep, love sushi.
Yeah.
Love sushi. I did start trying sushi when I was in college, so that was still in Ohio.
Yeah, that's a late thing for me too.
I like seafood. My fiance, and here's the thing: like you start to develop a when people are like, "Oh, Colin, he doesn't eat ketchup. He doesn't like mustard." They start to think you're so picky. But it's like, I will eat anything once. And if I don't like it, I just don't want to have it again.
Right,
and
that's fair.
I don't feel like that makes me super picky that I don't want something with ketchup on it. I love sushi. I like a lot of seafood. My fiance won't eat any seafood, so I think that makes me the less picky. And somehow I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Wow, poo-poo. There's the poo-poo.
There's the poo-poo.
Chismoso.
I knew you guys would get it out of me. You're famous for that.
Yeah, we really
Welcome
built
to
a
Chismoso.
reputation. Oh my god.
Chismoso. 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 Chismoso.